removed. Well, we can speak on all of these points with the former Education Secretary, Justine Greening, who joins us live now. Justine Greening, so what do you make of these 5 pledges by the Prime Minister? Is he, as some critics suggest, detached from reality?
Well, I think Rishi Sunak was always going to have to set out some clear details around what he is trying to do now he's in number 10. And I think people understood that, in a sense, when he came into number 10, it was about saving the economy and stopping the boat, as it were, from capsizing. That's not the same as working out the direction of where we're going to take Britain. I think he was starting to try and set that out today, but I think he will need to come back to more details, as Paul Johnson has said, on how he's going to achieve these priorities. And I think he'll have to set out more details fundamentally on how he's going to be able to get into that next election campaign, whenever it comes in 2024, probably, saying that he's delivering on the manifesto that people elected the Conservatives to achieve for Britain, which predominantly was around not just Brexit, but especially levelling up. And so we'll have to have more of that, I think, in the coming months, if he's really going to set out that vision for Britain.
But why aren't we hearing those details now? There's a lack of detail, and when it comes to inflation, he's repeating what the Bank of England is forecasting. Why aren't we getting the details now, a time frame for growth?
Well, I agree. I would like to see much more detail, particularly around that second priority on economic growth. Better paid jobs across the country is at the core of how we deliver levelling up. What's interesting is actually that the main announcement that was trailed before was, of course, on maths. That's not explicitly one of these key priorities, but that very much is part of how he sees driving forward the economy. It's one thing setting out these priorities. It's another thing setting out a plan on how you're going to deal with them. But I think that is the next stage. And at least today we have some clarity for once, really, around where Mr. Sunak and his administration are really going to be focusing. And it's worth also saying that the NHS priority of cutting waiting is obviously crucial for everyone. So I think this is a good step forward today. But in a sense, there's going to need to be more flesh on the bones if I think he's going to bring people with him on this agenda.
So just you picked up on the point about maths, and this idea that pupils up until the age of 18 should be taught maths. You are a former Education Secretary. When it comes to the education system in this country, is there seriously the room for that? Union bosses, when it comes to teaching, union bosses are saying that potentially teachers are more likely to strike because of what Rishi Sunak has said, because they're so overwhelmed by the situation right now.
I mean, clearly maths is very important for our economy, and I think Sunak's right to highlight it. The big challenge for me is almost what happens in the first 12 years of people's time in the education system, from 4 to 16, and fixing what's clearly going wrong for too many young people in those years. That means they are coming out without the levels of numeracy that we need. And I also think we need to distinguish between this point Sunak made that was right, which is practical maths that we all need for our lives, versus an economy that also needs maths science. And I think they're not the same challenges and they don't therefore need the same solutions in a sense. Things like apprenticeships at the moment, if you haven't got a good maths GCSE, you can't get on an apprenticeship. Removing that as a barrier, allowing people to perhaps study for maths, as Mr. Sunak is suggesting, when they're older, but allowing them to get on an apprenticeship would mean for many employers they could really drive more levelling up through the apprenticeships they're offering. I think there's a broader reform of maths that should go alongside what Sunak is saying today. And I think that, again, when I say we need to see more details, that's what I'd like to see in the coming weeks ahead. Much more of an overall strategy, so that these aren't just piecemeal priorities that don't hang together as a whole. It's crucial that he brings out a strategy on how he's going to deliver levelling up.
Justine Greening, former Education Secretary for the Conservative Party, thank you.